Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio today for episode 227 of Dark Side of the Stream. This week was my pick. It's Tom Petty's Beach Party on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, this was in theaters late last year, something like that.
Like a re-release thing.
I've been talking about it for weeks because we play a ton of Petty, and anytime something like that's coming up where it's, we got a theater that's going to show it, I'm going to remind you as many times as I can because it's pretty badass that we have it. And I've been talking about it for weeks. Lo and behold, Jay comes in, he goes, "Bro, did you see this Tom Petty documentary coming out?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, talk about it all day. Look at the poster."
Yeah, look at the poster. There's my dad's name right there. Yeah.
On the credits.
Yeah, my dad and his buddies made this movie, man, which is wild.
I know the story.
Bunch of 20-something-year-olds.
I know the story, but just
So they.
Explain who your dad was.
My dad made music videos for MTV in the early days of MTV, and his buddies from high school buddies was Cameron Crowe, who went on to be a big writer. He was a writer for Rolling Stone at this time, and Danny Bramson, who was the executive producer of this movie, who, when Tom Petty jumped to that new label, that was Danny Bramson, was the guy that ran that label. Backstreet Records, yeah. And Phil Savinick, who helped produce this, that was another name.
That, real quick, the Phil thing at the end in the outtakes, did you watch that? Where Phil's trying to get him to ask all those stupid questions, and Tom's just sitting there staring at him.
Yeah, annoying.
And Cameron's like, "Look, dude, I'm the guy that knows how to do these interviews.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing." Phil's like, "You need to talk about where your mind is when you work."
Yeah, I mean, I just remember this whole era so well, man, and. In the movie when they're doing the opening scene with Cameron Crowe and it says they're at the Post Group in Hollywood, I spent my childhood there because I'd hang out with my dad sometimes and my mom sometimes, and he would go into work and literally they're editing, all night, 24 hours he would work sometimes just in this place, and it was right off of Sunset Boulevard. I'd hang out there as a kid. I'd sleep somewhere under the stairs somewhere. I'd wander around, get in trouble, go to the other bays, all the other guys, like they didn't work on computers editing video. They had to have huge rooms of machines and tape. So I'd go back there and hang out with the guys that were in charge of changing the tape reels. My dad would say, "Put this reel in." So there's a guy, go put this reel in. Man, it was a wild scene. Jimmy Iovine, he'd be there. Iovine, or however he'd say his last name, he would be there. Yeah, it was crazy. Who was
banging Stevie Nicks and stole Tom Petty's song, which that part of the movie I thought was really interesting because Tom makes it sound like he did it, but the story is reality that he had cut the song.
Right.
Nicks heard it and said, "I want that one." Yeah,
that different story I thought too. Right?
Cuts it, and then they play it for Petty. He's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, and that was all the same scene. Tom Petty, my dad did Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks videos, Rick Springfield, it was just the scene, man, at the time.
That core, they all worked with each other, or at least like to work with each other. Yeah. Either way, thanks for sharing, and when we come back, we'll talk about Tom Petty's Beach Party next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 227. It's Tom Petty's Beach Party on Paramount Plus. So, it's a really cool picture of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers at this point.
Just breaking. Huge.
I think they was it Long After Dark was around the album?
They were
promoting that one, I think, with this, which when they put this out, they made it sound like it was a concert film, but it was actually more of just like here's this band. It was like a presser. Like, here's this band.
It was almost like a 60-minute story, but a longer version or something.
Yeah, with the band outtakes,
like
and
a video profile, they called it.
Essentially, yeah. With obviously a guy who worked for Rolling Stone who interviewed bands, Cameron Crowe, then taking this to a new medium, which would be TV and video,
and for MTV, which was again a brand new medium as well.
They were so far ahead with the way that his mind was working, what he was trying to do, and I think he got it across.
Yeah.
Did a really good job of showing Petty the process, how the band worked, how they were live, and again, it was reiterated 1,000 times. Like in 1983, the world is super synthesized and new age and all this stuff. And Tom Petty's like, nah, man, we're going to be a rock and roll
He's
band.
doing
writing songs like the Beatles wrote songs.
Almost like folk rock songs almost.
But
man,
he's right. At one point, he's like, we're a country band. We're a good rock band. He's like, that's all I've ever wanted.
You know
just
who
to be a
else
solid
did a
rock
Petty
band.
video? That Woman in Love, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Who went on to become huge director
A lot
and
of guys
producer
started out
of
that way.
blockbuster movies.
Yeah, a lot of
you know?
guys started out that way.
Yeah.
But I thought the concert footage was incredible. I'm lucky enough to have seen Petty twice. The first time I saw him, I want to say it was the Steve Winwood opener, and they did Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith together. We were walking in, a storm basically just popped up and drenched us completely. I mean, literally, like soaked head to toe. Like I jumped into a pool.
Terrible way to go to a concert.
Spin the whole concert like that, and then blacked out. Woke up in my dad. I took my dad and my brother. Woke up in my dad's car, and I had everyone was gone. I'm in the back seat, and I woke up, and there was a bag of White Castle on my lap, and I look, and I'm in my dad's driveway in St. Louis. I'm like, what the hell? And I must have, in my drunken stupor, made him go to White Castle, ordered all this food,
Didn't eat it,
blacked out, and
passed out.
woke up. I think I took a bite and threw it away. It made me sick. But yeah, that was the first time. Second time I saw him, I ended up getting really close, like I want to say like third, fourth row, and ended up just smoking a ton of pot. It had a blast, but the band would normally take a second break, which would be the pre-encore, and then come out and do like 4 or 5. No band come out and do a song, 2 songs encore. Petty would do like almost another set as an
like
encore.
an intermission almost.
But this instance, he came out and he goes, look, we want to come out. Normally we do like 4 or 5 songs, but Campbell has got a fever. He had like 102 temperature.
Still rocking.
And they had to get doctor's clearance to let him go back out and perform. And he still went out and played 3 or 4 songs.
Yep.
These dudes are road warriors, man. They don't make them like that anymore. And I tell you, that those Petty shows will remain some of the best live performances I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I went to Universal Amphitheater. It was that Long After Dark tour, and whenever I always go with my dad to concerts, he would just drag me around everywhere. And the first time I ever went to a concert and had to walk in through the front door with a ticket was when I was like 18 years old by myself. It was always backstage, listen. And so we were backstage at the Tom Petty show, and I remember the drummer was super cool. That Stan Lynch, is that his name? He was the super cool. That's just what I remember.
He's the one at the very beginning of the documentary is trying to get into Petty's room.
Yeah, like a clown.
They're banging on his
the clown of them all.
Can we clean your room?
But yeah, I remember going to that show, man,
so
very
bad.
well, and being backstage, hanging out, and yeah.
I thought, we'll talk more of some of our highlights from this documentary next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark side of the stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens, back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 227, Tom Petty's Beach Party on Paramount Plus. One of the other things I thought was really cool was the process, which Petty, you get the sense that he's a really aloof character. But I don't think he's aloof in the sense that some guys are just aloof because they rather not just they don't really care. Like it's like He does. He took time for fans. He recognizes that fans are the reason I'm here. I still sign autographs. I still do all this stuff.
And the battle with the record label.
The battle
thing.
He's fighting for himself, but he didn't lose. He is just a guy. Like he asked him like, what comes first, the melody, progression, or lyrics? He's like, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's this. He's like, he talked
about how long it took him to write that one song. He's like, weeks.
You think you can take her away with your money and your cocaine? Was literally the only line I had for 1 week, and then she's gonna listen to her heart.
And he sings kind of weird too. It's almost like a Bob Dylan-ish. Like
kind of has
very
that.
Weird that he became so huge because it was just had to be the songs are so good, like the emotion.
Simplistic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be anything more than what it is. It's the energy and the soul and it's a transfer of energy that you create to your fans or your listeners and vice versa. And the Heartbreakers they did it so well. So well. And it's a really cool, also, I think, time capsule of that period of time.
Definitely was a time
In
capsule.
83.
The whole limo thing.
The limo thing.
Yeah, just
the technology that you can kind of see.
yeah, those streets. I know those streets so well, man.
And LA does not look like that anymore.
Nope, not
I
now.
mean, when they were driving to some of those spots, I'm like, dude,
I know
there
that
are
one
literal
street
homeless
so
camps on the
well,
sides of the streets right there,
gosh,
and the empty buildings. And
my dad lived right off of Hollywood Boulevard, like in the seediest of areas, man. I would go skateboard because he would sleep in till 3 in the afternoon.
Well, he's
wherever
up
he was
all
up all
night,
night.
yeah.
So I'd grab my skateboard and just skateboard around. It was sketchy, man.
And
Just
that's where Jay Stevens got his
strip
street smarts.
clubs and dealer. Yeah, it was a sketchy scene, but hey, I survived.
And look at him now.
Here I am. Shaped me the man I am.
Yeah, it was great to see it. It's also kind of sad, because I miss him so much. He was Bowie for me. It was one of those where I was just like, you got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? But he left us with some incredible music. We'll come back with our reviews of it next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark side of the stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 227. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Beach Party, the song. They make a song for this.
Yes.
Which was
I
kinda
like the other song, too, the blues song that he sang.
Oh,
in the
I'm
trailer.
Stupid.
Yes.
That one was so good. And it's such a great song.
Dude, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
At first you're like, oh, he's just screwing around. Like, no, this is an actual
It was
song.
a jam, dude.
Dude, I mean.
A banger.
God, he's so cool. And the outtakes, if you do watch this, take the time to watch the outtakes at the end, because those were so badass. Yeah. Some of the added stuff that they found, some of the stuff they did untouched. And
Cameron and that other girl got together like in the same location and talked about it a little bit. It's nice, man.
It was really cool. I mean, we're so lucky to have had that guy and the music that he gave us. I would give it a solid 4.5, if not 5.
Yeah, I'll go 4.5.
As a music
I'll go 5 just because my dad was involved.
We'll give it a very rare, perfect score. Dark Side of the Stream.
Yeah, it was good, man.
Tom Petty's Beach Party. Check it out on Paramount Plus. Jay's pick is next.
So, do you want to? I'll give you 2 options because sometimes I know you hate when I pick some. Okay, so neither of those options have kids.
Okay.
Do you either want a story about drug dealers or a story about that has a local band in it? Documentary has a local band in it.
Let's go with the drug dealers so we can save the band.
Sons of Ecstasy.
Oh, okay.
It's
Great.
on Netflix.
Yeah, okay. We can talk about my college days. Sounds good.
It's also Sammy the Bull.
Yeah.
And he got out of the gang life and
into the drug business.
Into the government witness program,
But
then decided to
sell ecstasy.
to go back to jail again after
which is so
dodging
stupid.
the
You
biggest
got the
bullet of
feds
all.
watching you to make sure you're not going to get killed.
It's interesting. It's a good story, but it's a cool little time capsule story.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
Sons of Ecstasy.
That's what we're watching next. And as always, you can watch us do this on Thursdays, 9 a.m. on Facebook or YouTube.
Tyler sometimes comes a little bit late. So sometimes
he posts,
9, 10.
and sometimes he posts the video without audio. So if that's
Did he do that? Oh, I didn't hear that one, Tyler.
Twice. After I'd already posted, and then told me later that he had caught it, and I was like, okay, well, I had already posted those, so I had to go back and fix them again because he didn't tell me.
Good job.
So it actually caused me more work. But anyway,
he's wearing a Chiefs hat
digress. He always wears a Chiefs hat, just like me.
Oh, I have one today too.
Listen to it on or 104.7 The Cave
on the radio station that we're working for
9 a.m. or 6 p.m. and then subscribe where you get.
Or come and hang out in our podcast studio.
I am Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens reminding you. We watch movies
documentaries so you don't have to.
It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.